Somewhere in a Montana elk camp, a hunter is cleaning a rifle his grandfather bought in 1958. He has never questioned it. He just trusts it. Now zoom out and look at the market in 2026. $3,000 rifles with carbon fiber stocks and aerospace titanium actions. Fighting for shelf space. Screaming for attention. Promising things that always deliver in the field when it counts. You think you know which rifle wins? You think price equals performance? Think again. Because while the industry keeps chasing the next big thing, 5 platforms have been quietly doing the same job, decade after decade, in the hands of hunters who stopped caring about hype a long time ago. These are not the newest rifles on the market. They are the ones that refuse to die. Tonight, we rank all 5. We expose every flaw, and we crown the one rifle that has sat at the top of this list for 90 straight years. You are not ready for number 1. Moving on to number 5. Look, if you have never held a Tikka T3x, you are missing something. This thing comes out of Riihimäki, Finland, built by Sako, a company under the Beretta Holding umbrella, and it shoots like a rifle that costs twice as much. We are talking about a bolt-action hunting rifle that has quietly become the global benchmark for mid-range accuracy. Every serious rifle maker in the world is measuring themselves against this thing right now in 2026. That is not an opinion. That is a market fact. Under the hood, the T3x runs a cold hammer-forged barrel with a hand-crown muzzle. Now, why does that matter? Most budget rifles stamp out barrels fast and cheap. Cold hammer forging wraps the steel around a mandrel under thousands of tons of pressure, compressing the grain structure of the metal itself. The result is a barrel that is harder, more heat-resistant, and produces dramatically tighter harmonic vibration patterns as the bullet travels down the bore. That consistency is what gives you sub-MOA accuracy straight out of the box, meaning your 3-shot group stays inside 1 inch at 100 yards before you even touch a single setting. The bolt throw is 70 degrees. That does not sound revolutionary until you slap a big objective scope on top and realize you can run the bolt without your knuckles slamming into the turret housing. Fast follow-up shots, clean, effortless cycling. The bolt glides like it was machined in a Swiss watch factory because honestly, the tolerances are not far off. The trigger ship's adjustable from 2 to 4 pounds via a hex screw inside the mag well. No gunsmith, no aftermarket upgrade needed. Clean break, 0 creep, done. Feeds on 6.5, Creedmoor 6.5 PRC, 308 300 Win Mag. The T3x platform covers the full spectrum of modern hunting cartridges without flinching. Street price on the T3x Lite runs around $729. For a rifle that ships with a sub-MOA guarantee and a trigger that embarrasses guns, costing $400 more. That is a violent amount of value. Now, here is the deal breaker. The factory recoil pad is about as forgiving as a hockey puck. Shooting 50 rounds of 300 Win Mag through this thing in one session, and your shoulder will remind you about it the next morning. Plan on a Patchmare slip-on or a pad swap early. It is a $15 fix, but it is a fix you should not have to make on a $700 rifle. This is solid. But wait until you see the monster we have locked in at number 1. That thing makes the T3x look like a warm-up act. Stepping up the game to number 4. Now I know what half of you are already thinking. A lever action on a list of legendary hunting rifles in 2026? Really? Yeah, really. Sit down. The Marlin Model 336 has been putting meat in the freezer since 1948. 70 plus years of doing exactly one thing, and doing it better than almost anything else in dense timber, thick brush, and tight creek bottoms where your bolt-action tack driver is completely useless because the shot window opens and closes in less than 2 seconds. Here is the mechanical truth that most people gloss over. The original Marlin 336 was revolutionary because of one architectural decision: a solid top receiver with a side ejection port. Winchester's Model 94 throws brass straight up, which means mounting a centerline optic is a nightmare. Marlin solved that problem in 1948. The brass exits to the right, the receiver top is clean and flat, and you can mount a low-profile scope directly over the bore axis like a modern rifle. That is not a small thing. That is the difference between a traditional tool and a genuinely versatile hunting platform. Now, the modern story of Marlin is one of the most dramatic rescues in American firearms history. After Freedom Group ran the brand into the ground, producing what the gun community rightfully called Remlins, rifles so rough they looked like they were assembled on a Friday afternoon by people who had never seen a gun before, Sturm, Ruger and Company acquired the assets in 2020 and rebuilt the entire manufacturing process from scratch. The 2026 Marlin 336 Classic, chambered in 30-30 Winchester, is the product of that rescue. Ruger scrapped the old micro-groove rifling system entirely. In its place, a 20.25-inch cold hammer-forged barrel with 6 traditional grooves and a 1 in 11-inch right-hand twist. That process compresses and aligns the steel's grain structure under extreme mechanical force, producing a barrel that handles heat better, cleans easier, and delivers tighter groups than the old button-rifled tubes ever could. The lever throw is smooth. The infamous side-to-side wobble that plagued older models, gone. CNC machined to tolerances that would have been impossible on the original production line. The aesthetics are pure American heritage. American black walnut stock and fore-end with deep-cut checkering, satin blued steel, semi-buckhorn rear sight with a brass bead front. The iconic Marlin bullseye inlaid at the toe of the stock, updated to red and white to mark the Ruger era. This rifle does not look like a tool. It looks like something you hand down. I know the tactical crowd is going to fire back on this one. Sound off below? Is a lever action still legitimate in your hunting rig, or is this pure nostalgia? Let me know. Recoil on the 30-30 is a firm, sharp push, nothing brutal, but more of a quick snap to the shoulder than the rolling shove of a Magnum bolt gun. Think of it like getting checked in hockey. You feel it, you register it, and then it is over. The trigger breaks cleanly at around 6.75 pounds from the factory. Legal liability requirements keep it heavier than most hunters would prefer. It is not mushy, the break is actually quite crisp, but the pull weight will make precision shooters twitch. A competent trigger job from a qualified gunsmith will bring it down significantly, but that is an extra cost on top of the $1,239 street price. And that brings us to the deal breaker. Spare magazines for the tubular system are not an issue. But if you want to feed this rifle, the modern polymer-tipped lever evolution loads from Hornady to flatten the trajectory and unlock its full ballistic potential. Plan on spending more per box than standard cup and core ammunition. The cartridge technology that makes the 30-30 relevant at extended ranges in 2026 is not cheap. The platform is affordable. Keeping it fed at peak performance will cost you. Entering the elite tier. Number 3. Savage Arms does not get enough credit, and that drives me absolutely insane. While every other manufacturer was busy slapping premium price tags on rifles with mediocre factory triggers and bedding systems held together with optimism, Savage was quietly engineering solutions that the entire industry eventually had to copy. That is not marketing. That is a 40-year track record of mechanical innovation that reshaped how bolt-action rifles are built and sold in this country. The Model 110 has been in continuous production since 1958, longest-running bolt-action platform in North America. But the version sitting on dealer shelves in 2026 barely resembles what Nicholas Brewer originally sketched out. This thing has evolved into one of the most technically sophisticated, user-configurable hunting rifles ever offered at a working man's price point. Start with the AccuTrigger. When Savage introduced this system in the early 2000s, it detonated a bomb underneath the entire firearms industry. Here is how it works. Inside the trigger blade sits a secondary safety lever called the AccuRelease. That lever physically blocks the sear from releasing unless your finger is fully and intentionally pressing through the center of the trigger face. What that means in practice is that Savage could ship a factory trigger with a crisp glass rod break at 2.5 pounds or lower without any risk of the rifle firing from a drop or an impact. Before AccuRelease, manufacturers kept trigger pulls heavy specifically to avoid liability lawsuits. Savage eliminated that compromise entirely. Every competitor scrambled to develop their own blade safety trigger system within 5 years. That is the definition of an industry-disrupting innovation. Then there is the barrel nut system. And this is where the Savage 110 becomes genuinely unlike anything else on this list. Every traditional bolt-action rifle requires a professional gunsmith with a lathe to swap barrels. The gunsmith cuts threads, sets the shoulder, establishes headspace, and charges you $300 to $500 for the privilege. Savage threw that entire process in the trash. The 110 uses a threaded barrel with a separate lock nut. You thread the barrel into the receiver until it seats against a standard headspace gauge. Then torque the lock nut against the receiver face to lock everything solid. In 2026, that system has spawned an entire pre-fit barrel industry. Companies like Criterion, Proof Research, Straight Jacket Armory, and McGowan Precision ship match-grade barrels directly to your door, pre-chambered and ready to install. 15 minutes in your garage, 1 barrel wrench, 0 gunsmith fees. You can rechamber your hunting rifle from .22 Creedmoor to .338 Lapua Magnum on a Sunday afternoon and be shooting Monday morning. The 2026 Pro Series 110 builds on all of that with the AccuFit version 2 system. A quick-set dial mounted directly behind the pistol grip controls both length of pull, adjustable up to 1 full inch in 1/8 inch increments, and cheek piece height, raising up to 0.8 inches without any tools whatsoever. In an era where thermal scopes and large objective glass demand a higher cheek weld than traditional stocks allow, this feature is not a gimmick. It is a genuine field solution. Eats everything from .22 Creedmoor to .338 Lapua Magnum without complaint. The bolt cycles with a firm, mechanical confidence. Not the silk-smooth glide of the Tikka, but a solid, deliberate action that communicates exactly what the rifle is doing at every stage of the cycle. Every new Model 110 ships with a threaded muzzle, a 20 MOA integral scope rail, and factory Cerakote in gunmetal bronze, platinum, or blackout. Left-handed variants are always available. The damage to your wallet on the 110 Core Hunter Pro starts around $1,049. Here is the deal breaker. The polymer AccuStock chassis gets the job done mechanically. The aluminum bedding block embedded inside it is genuinely effective at locking the action down. But next to the walnut and steel of the Winchester or the Marlin, it looks like what it is: a functional piece of injection-molded plastic. If aesthetics matter to you, if you want a rifle that looks as good hanging above a fireplace as it shoots at the range, the Savage 110 is going to leave you cold. This is a tool built to perform, not to impress at a glance. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Just know what you're buying. Closer to the crown. Number 2, here is the deal. The Remington Model 700 is simultaneously the most influential bolt-action rifle ever manufactured on American soil, and the most complicated success story in the history of the firearms industry. Let that sit for a second, because in 2026, the Model 700 does not dominate the market by selling the most guns. It dominates by being the architectural DNA of practically every precision rifle built anywhere in the world. That is a level of influence that transcends brand loyalty, transcends corporate bankruptcy, and transcends every quality control disaster Rem Arms has managed to engineer in recent memory. Introduced in 1962 as a replacement for the 721 and 722 series, the Model 700 was a manufacturing revolution disguised as a hunting rifle. The genius was in the geometry. Remington engineers designed a cylindrical receiver, round, not flat-bottomed like the Mauser-derived actions that came before it. A round receiver can be turned on a lathe in a fraction of the time required to mill a traditional flat-bottom action. That cost efficiency translated directly into a rifle that could undercut the competition on price while delivering match-grade accuracy right out of the crate. The mechanical concept Remington marketed as the 3 rings of steel is the core of why this action shoots so well. When the bolt closes on a chambered round, the case head is simultaneously surrounded by the bolt face, the rear of the barrel, and the receiver ring. 3 independent steel structures wrapping the most dangerous part of the firing cycle, the moment of ignition. That geometry creates an almost perfect alignment between bolt and bore, which is the fundamental mechanical prerequisite for consistent accuracy. It is also catastrophically strong. The action can contain a case rupture that would destroy lesser designs entirely. The 2-lug bolt with a 90-degree throw became the industry reference point. Not because it is the fastest, it is not. Not because it is the smoothest, it is not that either. But because the cylindrical receiver's bedding requirements are so predictable and so well understood that virtually any competent action job will unlock genuine sub-MOA performance from this platform. That predictability is exactly why the United States Army and Marine Corps both adopted Model 700 architecture as the foundation for the M24 and M40 sniper systems. When the most demanding precision shooting organizations on the planet choose your receiver geometry as their standard, the argument is settled. Now, about Rem Arms in 2026. Honestly, this is where it gets uncomfortable. The OEM guns coming out of Rem Arms right now are fighting serious quality control battles. The Alpha 1 Hunter, their flagship modernized build, ships with raceways machined so tight that running the bolt on an empty chamber requires enough force to make you question whether something is broken. The spiral fluting on the bolt body is cut sharp enough to act as a file against brass-cased ammunition sitting in the magazine, generating copper fouling before you even fire a shot. Feeding geometry changes to the elongated magazine have introduced consistent nosedive malfunctions. In sub-freezing temperatures, extraction failures turn a hunting rifle into a single shot that requires manual case removal. These are not rumors from online forums. These are documented, repeatable failures across multiple production samples. But here is the thing, and pay close attention. because this is the most important sentence in this entire video. None of that matters to the Model 700's dominance, not even slightly, because the real Model 700 story in 2026 is the clone ecosystem. The receiver footprint, bolt spacing, trigger pin dimensions, barrel thread pattern has become the absolute open source standard of the precision rifle industry. Bergara's B14 series delivers flawless feeding and sub-MOA accuracy using the identical architectural footprint with European CNC tolerances that shame the OEM product. Springfield Armory's Model 2020 Waypoint ships with a monolithic recoil lug, a carbon fiber BSF barrel, and a .75 MOA accuracy guarantee. Aero Precision Solus runs a 3-lug bolt with a 60-degree throw on the same footprint. Weatherby's 307 Range XP was specifically engineered for 100% M700 aftermarket compatibility. The trigger breaks clean on a properly set up 700 action, a crisp, dry snap like a pencil breaking over a desk edge. No warning, no creep, just a clean mechanical event. That is what made this action the foundation of championship-level precision shooting for 6 decades running. Sets you back around $800 to $900 for a base OEM model. But the smarter play in 2026 is spending that same money on a Bergara B14 or a Springfield Waypoint and getting the architecture with none of the manufacturing headaches. Here is the deal breaker. That signature Remington extractor, the thin C-clip design that snaps into the bolt face groove, is the weakest link in an otherwise brilliant system. Under hard use, particularly with Magnum cartridges generating aggressive bolt thrust, that extractor can lose its spring tension over time, leading to inconsistent case grip and occasional extraction hesitation. Every serious Model 700 builder eventually swaps it for a Sacco-style sliding extractor as a matter of course. It is a known issue. It has been a known issue for 40 years, and RemArms has never addressed it at the OEM level. That is not acceptable on a rifle that helped define precision shooting. Number 1. The Winchester Model 70. 90 years old. Still the king. Introduced in 1936, and in 2026, it remains the single most complete expression of what a bolt-action hunting rifle is supposed to be mechanically, aesthetically, and philosophically. That is not nostalgia, that is 9 decades of evidence. The controlled round feed system is what separates this rifle from everything else on this list, including the Remington at number 2. In a push-feed design, the extractor only grabs the case rim after the round is fully chambered. The cartridge is uncontrolled during the most critical part of its travel. In the Model 70's CAR-F system derived directly from the Mauser 98, a large non-rotating claw extractor captures the case rim the instant it clears the magazine. That cartridge is mechanically locked to the bolt face for the entire feeding stroke. It cannot double feed. It cannot slip free. It will not fail you when the situation turns critical. The 3-position wing safety is another feature no competitor has genuinely improved upon in 90 years. Bolt-locked and trigger-locked for transport. Bolt-free to cycle for safe loading with triggers still blocked, fully ready to fire. Logical, tactile, reliable with heavy gloves in sub-zero temperatures. The MOA trigger completes the package. 3-lever geometry delivers a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage at the sear. 0 over travel, 0 reset slop. Adjustable from 3 to 5 pounds without tools. The Tikka's trigger is excellent. This one is surgical. Modern production out of the FN Browning facility in Portugal holds CNC tolerances that the original New Haven line physically could not achieve with mid-century tooling. Forged receivers. localized heat treatment at the locking lugs. The architecture is honored. The execution is improved. The 2026 lineup runs from the featherweight in 6.5 Creedmoor all the way through the super grade in 375 H&H Magnum. Walnut and blued steel on every heritage configuration. A pre-64 super grade at auction today fetches between $6,000 and $20,000 because the market already knows exactly what this rifle is worth. There is no deal breaker at number 1, only preferences. But when you want controlled feeding reliability, a 3-position safety that has never been surpassed, a surgical factory trigger, and walnut and steel craftsmanship that turns a hunting tool into a family heirloom, there is only one answer. There has only ever been one answer. The Winchester Model 70, the rifleman's rifle. 2026, a year where rifle price climbed 25%, where carbon fiber and titanium became the new normal, where every new brand promised to reinvent the bolt action from the ground up. And yet, the 5 rifles that dominated this market were not new. They were legendary. A Finnish precision instrument built to outlast the hype. A lever-action carbine that has ruled dense timber for 75 years and is still doing it today. The most modular bolt-action platform ever offered at a working man's price. An architectural standard so dominant that an entire industry still builds around its ghost. And a rifleman's rifle, 90 years old, still sitting on the throne, unchallenged. That is not coincidence. That is what happens when mechanical integrity outlasts marketing budgets. Legendary does not mean old. It means proven, under pressure, across decades, by hunters who demanded more than promises. These 5 delivered every single time. Keep your powder dry and your aim true.